Well, welcome back to the Prospect Hub. We're talking about Mets prospects. Now, as you know, the Mets have to make a lot of moves this offseason. This is a team that has struggled and struggled really since June, and they need to start moving pieces out of here to improve this team. They need starting pitching. They need an ace. They could probably use some more help on the everyday lineup. And they have some minor league players that they could move. Now, Rising Apple put out a rather interesting article talking about who the Mets would move and who they would prefer to move. And it's all familiarity. They kind of make it seem that this is New York Mets history, but this is really a history of any organization that has turnover with the front office. Headline, New York Mets history tells us who they prefer to trade, Carson Benge or Jett Williams. Both have their positives. One factor could give them a preference. Okay, let's see what this has to say. Any major offseason trade package assembled thus far this offseason has seemed to include a choice for the other team. They could pick between Carson Benge or Jett Williams. The pair are fighting for big league time in the New York Mets roster to play in center field, with Williams having the benefit of also having the middle infield on his resume. The Mets had their choice. There's a clear preference for who they'd rather keep. According to this article, general managers are like dogs. They chase their tails, bury things in the backyard, and are extremely loyal. Through all the front office shot callers we've seen with the Mets, one thing has remained consistent. They like to keep the players they drafted and move on from the ones they inherited. That's with any player. That's with any front office. Williams, who was drafted in 2022 by Billy Epler, is traded away if this Mets history lesson continues under Stearns. Benge, whom Stearns took in his first draft in 2024, remains with the organization. Brodie Van Wagenen had no qualms about trading away players drafted by other GMs. Jarred Kelenic was his most famous victim. The Mets drafted him in 2018, and that's before 2017, and Brodie got rid of him the following year. They didn't even think twice about it. Brett Baty is the lone survivor from the 2019 draft to actually make it to the Mets. Often mentioned in trade rumors, other GMs either couldn't find a taker or seemed to like the same roster and stuff they had Van Wagenen, taking him in the first round. Second round of Josh Wolf was traded before the 21 season of the Francisco Lindor deal. Jake Mangum, a few years after going in round 4, ended up dealt in a forgettable trade with the Marlins. Look at him now. He's playing well for the Tampa Bay Rays. The short 6-player draft from 2020 has no players remain with the Mets organization. Pete Crow Armstrong, J.D. Ginn, and Eric Orze all made the majors and are with different clubs. Like Wolf, Isaiah Green was used to acquire Lindor. Dean continued on Zach Scott's 2021 draft, had Carson Seymour going to the San Francisco Giants at the 22 trade deadline in the infamous Stan Ruff deal. Mike Vassell and Dom Hamill aren't with the Mets any longer. Stearns let Vassell go in the Rule 5 draft last December. Hamill was a waiver claim. They're a bit different. Both were given an extended look in AAA. However, the current president of baseball operations never seemed to believe in them all that much. By this point, we're caught up in Mets history. There wasn't a chance for Epler to trade away any of his draft picks because they gave away big league players in 2023. Stearns flipped the script by dealing away 2 24 selections in last summer's deal for Ryan Helms. That was a disaster, that deal. Nate Dome and Frank Elsalt, taking rounds 3 and 19. And they were used in that deal. Far different from the level of prospect Benge and Williams are. It does show he's not stubborn enough to try to make things work. It means putting a halt to a trade. This guy did kind of like, this whole article goes on about this and then undermines what he said. Undermines what the writer wrote. I don't know. But, who's a better prospect at this point? Jett Williams missed a year in 2024 because he had an injury to his wrist. Carson Benge has not been an everyday player up until the middle of 24 when he became part of the Mets organization. He was a two-way player. He's got a tremendous arm. So the one thing he has going for him as an outfielder is the fact that he can throw runners out. Jett Williams is an infielder. I don't know how his arm is going to be as an outfielder. They're both quality players. We'll see. I've not seen them, so who knows. But let me know what you think about this video. And, of course, please subscribe to Prospect Hut. I'll see you later.